Yeah.
Well, 7 o'clock, I think that's a little couple minutes slow. We call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the zoning board of appeals of the town of Clinton on Wednesday, June 17th, 2026 at 7 o'clock p.m. in the Rose Room. I'm Lori Jaffe, the chair. Could you please take attendance?
Yes. Lori Jaffe,
Present.
Tom Schultz,
Present.
Joseph Alves,
Here.
Teresa O'Rourke,
Here.
Carol Walter,
Here.
Bruce King,
Here.
Maureen Noonan,
Here.
John Whittle.
Here.
All of the members are here. I will not have to see an alternate. Next on the agenda, minutes for the approval of the May 20th, 2026 regular meeting. Does anyone have any on the minutes? I ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Says Terry O'Rourke. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Actually, I think it has to be a voting amendment.
I'll second.
Yes.
Okay. Nobody was saying
Yes, I think it
anything.
is.
Yes.
Tom Schultz is second. Any further discussion? We'll take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? Carries. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, chair comments. I don't have any. Item 4 is new business. There is no. Old business number 5. is CBA 26-2, 5 Short Grove Road. And I'm accusing myself because I'm in a butter, and Tom Schultz, our secretary, will be assuming chairmanship for this application.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll be continuing deliberation on ZBA 26-2, 5 Short Road Road. I'll point out that there are 2 deliberations here on this property. So 2 variances to be mindful of, decide on them separately. So I'd like to the hearing is closed now, so we'll be discussing it with our group here.
Excuse me.
We need a seat and also
I'm sorry,
and
yes.
also make sure that Carol has.
Yeah, Carol, Carol, did you watch the video and review it? So are you prepared to vote?
So if you haven't watched the video, that's part of the record, and so if you haven't watched the video and reviewed the record fully, you wouldn't be eligible to vote on this. So an alternate would also need to be seated.
Okay, great. It would be next.
So last month, we had John Whittle, who was seated. So he was in last time, so we'd want to reseat him again.
Okay.
And then the next person on the list, if we go alphabetically, would be Bruce. Okay.
Bruce.
Bruce, yes.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going deaf.
Sorry, Al.
Too much rock and roll. Anyway, so I'd like to go around the group. Terry, your thoughts?
So they're automatically seated?
Well, no, he was seating because,
No, I know, but they're seated now.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Am I correct in remembering that I think staff was gonna prepare a resolution after the
So-
discussion?
Yeah, so what I did was based on the conversation. I have to admit it was a little bit hard to tell which direction the commission was going to go in. So I actually drafted a motion to approve and I drafted a motion to deny. But I wanted to kind of see first where the board was thinking because I don't want to sway your vote.
Do you have any thoughts or comments that you want to feel about?
Well, I'd like to hear from other people on the committee, but I also went back and did some reading of some of the training materials we go through. And while I understand zoning boards of appeals generally don't grant variances or exceptions for variances that are self-created. There is something called de minimis, which we might consider, if that's correct, because understanding the cause of the request for the variance is part of what we have to undertake. So, in listening to the applicant, my impression, this was an honest mistake that pertains to a small portion of the garage setting. I believe it's a corner of the garage and several feet in, and it varies as it goes in because of the shape of the lot. So I wanted to share that information. In terms of the shed, the fact that the property is treated as two fronts makes the shed, a no in my mind, because even though it's set, if I remember correctly, it's set in a shaded area, treed area, it's not allowed to be within 30 feet of the frontage. I'm leaning on a de minimis ruling for the garage. I'm leaning on a no information.
Thank you. Joe, you.
I was-
Thoughts?
I'm leaning on a yes for the shed, and I would like to hear what the other members say about the house. Quite frankly, when we brought it up on the 20th, I was looking at that as one decision on both. So I'd like to hear what the other members have to say about the house, but I would look for support a variance for the shed.
How about you, Bruce? You have any thoughts?
Yeah, my only thought was, again, I just want to clarify this, we ended up breaking this in two, correct?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so one was the garage, the corner garage, and the other was the shed itself.
Right.
The garage, to me, is one that I could, obviously, I feel, we could grant a variance on. The shed, to me, a shed is something that's movable. And, whether it's something that could have been put in another spot or something that could be replaced. But I'm kind of on a no on that.
Okay, good, thank you. John.
I concur regarding the garage and concur actually on the shed, the split, yes, ma'am.
That's great. I think I feel the same as most of the people on the committee here, on the commission here. The shed seems like something that I would turn down variance on. So that's it.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you again. So this was the deny, this was the approved. And we have, I think, consensus of the house, yes, the shed, no.
Did you draft the one that goes together?
Yeah, this is the motion to approve,
No, I understand.
and that's the one.
So let's see what you drafted.
And I wanted to add Terry's comment about de minimis change, so I think I should add that as a finding.
Now, I have another question.
Sure.
I do believe that, the minimis rulings are rare and, I want to make sure that other parties coming before the zoning board of appeals don't consider it a precedent. Each application is treated based on the strength of the presentation of the applicant, the considerations they provide. Is there anything else we need to say in the approval that
Well, there are other findings in the approval to support it. If you choose, though, if the board would like, I can add that in. But, I have there that, that it meets the requirements in the statutes. There's no evidence of adverse impacts to the adjacent property owners. And because the, garage is currently in place, modification or removal of the existing structure would cause more hardship than allowing the structure to remain in place. So if you feel that's sufficient, or again, I want to give you the say and how you want it to be worded as well.
What about the rest of us? Comments? I'm fine.
So you want to just leave it as it is?
I mean, I would add the amendment.
Add the de minimis
Yeah.
fees?
What
Okay.
do you think?
Yeah.
Minimal. It's the legal. Jargon,
That's what it was, the garage.
yes, because it's 18 inches.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
All right, so, would you like to read the motion, Carrie? Because we can hand it to you. That's the,
But I'm trying to correct the motion based
okay,
so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a good bit of research to think about the situation, because it's complicated. We really careful about our precedents. And also understand that,
a garage.
in my opinion, it's not such a gross infraction that, it's outweighed by what it would take to correct it.
And the good thing about ZBA decisions is they're on their own. So
Yeah.
they're, I've talked to the attorneys about this too, the precedent setting. It's on its own merits based on the property, each individual one. So if you're making that decision on this property based on your findings, then that's right. All right, so, Abby very generously is just going through, because I had my motions here just to kind of put them in order so that there's the pieces to deny the shed and to approve the
Yeah,
garage.
they're sort of mixed in. So what I'm gonna do is read to you some prospective motions that will do both. And so what the board would be, so I will sort of summarize the findings, and then I think we're gonna have to pick and choose the numbers here that are drafted. So you would be moving to approve application ZBA 26-5 for Shore Grove Road to grant 28.5 feet where 30 feet is required for the front west setback for the house, and to deny
For the garage.
that was my question.
It's part of the house.
It's
Yeah.
okay. All right, so to deny the requested variance to grant 4.8 feet where 30 feet is required for the front west setback for the shed per zoning regulation 26.11.6 as per plans, zoning location survey, as-built property of Lori Seeger, 5 Shore Grove Road, Lot 3, Shore Grove Road subdivision, Clinton, Connecticut, prepared by Scott Caden, licensed surveyor, dated 2/2026, revised 4/10/2026. Assessors map 69, block 70, lot 19, R15 zone, David Seeger applicant, Lori Seeger owner, and adopted collective findings of fact. Number 1, the application has met the public notice and hearing requirements pursuant to CGS Chapter 124, Section 87D for notice and hearing requirements. Number 2, because the garage house combination is currently in place, modification or removal of the existing structure would cause more hardship than allowing the structure to remain in place. There is no evidence of adverse impacts to the adjacent property owners if the garage and house structure remain in place as existing. The requested variance to grant 28.5 feet where 30 feet is required is de minimis. So those would be the findings relative to the house garage structure. Pursuant to the denial, let's see. So the findings for the denial portion would be by relocating the shed, the property owner has increased the nonconformity of the front setback, resulting in a setback of 4.8 feet where 30 feet is required. The applicant has not demonstrated a hardship specific to the property. No evidence has been provided of a unique physical condition that would prevent the property from being put to a reasonable use. Section 13.2.3 of the Clinton zoning regulations specifies that a hardship must not be created by the owner. The record for application ZBA 26-2 reflects the construction of the placement of the shed was authorized by the property owner. And so those would be your general findings. That is sufficient. Now, I will circle these for folks so that you can see which ones go to. This is going to be hard to read. That's why I want to make sure it's clear for folks. Or we can take it as I just read it into the record for you.
Could they approve it based on,
You could approve based on what I just read.
yeah, which would probably be easier. So, does anyone want to make a motion or?
I'll make the motion to approve. That you just read. Is that okay?
I'll second the motion.
So you got those.
Yeah, John, second. Okay.
So I'll go, and you made the motion, you seconded it, discussion.
Yeah.
Everyone approved unanimous, anyone?
Yeah. I'm sorry, but.
You can do a roll call vote or
Okay.
just ask if any,
Yeah, let's do it.
okay,
Okay, so Lori's out.
yeah, she recused, so Tom.
So Tom Schultz?
Yes.
Yes. Joseph Alves?
I'm going yes on what?
The motion to approve that the
Yeah,
garage
just what I
stays, yeah,
need to-
and deny the shed,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. Teresa O'Rourke?
Yeah.
Karen was out. Bruce King
Yes.
and John Whittle.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll grab the.
Findings and changes.
Okay.
Seated for Lori. So John's
Seated in my place.
It was Bruce, wasn't it?
It was Jay Whittle. Jay.
Oh, it was John who was seated just for
John was
the,
seated first, seated for Lori. James.
Yes, John Whittle.
No, John.
John was seated for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, then I will, since John will seated for me, I am going to unseat you and resume my seat. Thank you.
Sorry.
Next item on the agenda is the ZBA 26-3, 82 High Street. Accessories map 44, block 26, lot 11, R20 zone, Joe Grant applicant, Jerry Gill, owner, after the fact request for variance for ground coverage to section 26.11.2014. Issued those related intelligible decision. Before we continue, I'd like to ask Carol Walter, if you watched, you were not there, maybe. You did not watch. Can you review the record?
I mean, I read the minutes, I investigated the record, I mean, I think I have a pretty good understanding of the situations here, but.
So did you review the documents? in the record?
But she's obligated to also watch the recording for any meeting that was
Okay,
missed.
so
So
So I'm wondering, certain point might be there.
Okay, so I will have to point it out.
Was it your?
The alternatives, of course, it is, but not-
Yes.
This one.
I will appoint, Maureen.
I did not read.
Recording.
no, you're gonna wanna go, yeah, because we had Bruce who was just seated. Well, actually, why don't you go on? We had John, right, for you.
Bruce was seated
And then we
for
had
Carol.
Bruce, yeah. But John, I'm sorry, I'm scrambling my words here. John was seated last month for the entirety of the two, correct? Because we went through this before.
She seated Bruce King for Carol Walter last month.
Okay, for both
And then-
applications, and then John was seated
And
for
then
her.
Don was seated for Lori when she was.
So Bruce should be,
So she's Bruce.
yes,
I stay.
yes.
Okay.
Because you were seated last time for both applications.
Okay. Okay, Ms. King is seated then, for Carol. Okay, in this matter, the public hearing is closed, documents are in the record. And this is an application for Westbrook ground coverage. And now, we will deliberate. And I'd like to start by asking each board member, for his or her reasons for why they think this variance application either should or should not be granted. And I will start.
Well, it was discussed in the hearing about a remedy for this to have, the groundwater problem dealt with it. But they didn't want to do anything until they knew what, our decision was going to be. So I'm not clear on the mechanics of this, of how we look at this.
So the important part of this is the variance request has to be granted on its merits, not conditional on a potential design for stormwater. The reality is the stormwater design is required, and if they do not provide it, they would be in violation and Kathy would initiate enforcement action on this. So if the variance were to be granted, they could not exercise it without being compliant to the regulations. They don't get to skip another portion of the regulations just because you granted a variance to permit the ground coverage portion of this. So that is something that will be handled. And I believe Kathy's drafted some findings for you should you choose to approve that recognize that fact, that the variance is being granted with the finding that this requirement is a fact.
Well, I believe I'd be in favor if there's a remedy that they can make sure that there's drainage meets.
Any other comments?
No, I guess not then.
Okay, Jerry.
So we're supposed to treat this as if it occurred prior to.
Right.
And the second part of the question that was discussed, I think, the night before was the fact that had they done it completely in one fell swoop, the decision to allow them to increase their coverage would have been straightforward based on the fact that they had definitely reduced non-compliance in the location of the new building, other property line. You wanna challenge me on that?
I think,
Continue and I'll
Yeah.
provide some guidance in a second.
I was gonna say, yeah.
My understanding was that if an application demonstrates a reduction in non-compliance, then as long as the variance doesn't create hardship for the zoning regulations or other property owners, we could approve the requested variance. That's my thinking. Jumbled as it is.
So Madam Chair, if I could clarify some of the points on that.
Yes.
So the nonconformity question, so the reduction of nonconformities in the case law essentially says that the board can grant variance based solely on the reduction of nonconformities, not the increase of a new nonconformity, right? So the ground coverage is a new nonconformity created by the action to pave. The reduction for the other ones. So let's say, for example, there was something that was over on a side setback. They reduced it. It was still over that side setback, but they reduced those nonconformities. You would have grounds under case law to approve that variance for the side setback because they were making a nonconforming situation better. They were reducing the existing nonconformity. What's happened here is, yes, the building itself is more conforming than it was before, and has met requirements of the zoning regulations, which is wonderful and we're all excited about. But the driveway itself is a new, and that's the discrepancy.
Yeah. So it doesn't meet that standard where because it's reduced nonconformities, it can be approved because this is a brand new nonconformity that was created by paving.
So let me take a shot at hardship then, if I understand the discussion, which is the basis, right? That what I consider based on clarification. So the hardship is, this is a business environment with a high traffic count and a significant amount of, like 10 cars a day, I think was the estimate of the vehicle traffic. That he felt it was a safety issue having the paving versus the ground. I guess I want to hear from other members if they thought that hardship is wrong enough.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it didn't establish a hardship at all. They were responsible, there was nothing that interrupted the whole ground cover, the asphalt, they wouldn't, what happened, I think that just carelessness or lack of attention to detail, so I don't think they established any hardship. So my vote is no.
I would say no as well. I think they created their own hardship by rushing in to get the paving done before cold weather set in. You know, as far as solutions, could they have, you know, just paved by the building? Could they have left the rest of it gravel or stone? I think there were some options there available to them, but I think, in my opinion, it was more of a matter of, you know, whether it was negligence or just an oversight. But it seems to me that they rushed to get this in without doing their due diligence to determine whether or not they could in fact go ahead and pave. So because they, you know, created their own hardship, I need to say no.
I speaking last, and I don't think that the applicant has established that variance should be granted. In terms of a traditional hardship, no hardship has been shown under section 13. And indeed, Mr. Wren stated that he did not believe that a hardship is required, so I don't believe that he did make much of an effort to say that there was a hardship. Nothing unique about the property. Personal hardship from the owner is not a legal hardship. So although there's another test for granting a variance, which Abby herself referred to, you know, and Kathy, if there's a demonstrated reduction in nonconformities, that can be a grounds for approving a variance. But here, I don't think that's been demonstrated. There's not a reduction here. There's actually an increase in nonconformities. This has been discussed. It's been mentioned by virtue of the paved driveway that created, in my opinion, a new nonconformity. You know, the fact that a lot of money has been spent and perhaps would be spent to the paving if the hardship were not to be granted. Financial hardship is personal under section 13(2) of regulations. It's not the basis for granting a hardship. So I am not in favor of granting this application. So it seems that we don't have a consensus. We have a consensus among 3 members that they are leaning toward voting no. We don't have a consensus for approval. So
I have a draft motion to deny if you'd like, because I've made one of each.
okay.
So
I think.
From hearing from the other members, I've changed about decisions of I will be opposed to it. So,
Does anyone else have any comments about any with all board members' comments before we look at the entertainment motion?
I also will make a vote,
I understand, thank you for circulating.
Sure, yeah, of course.
It has been the practice of staff creates draft motions for consideration after the board is deliberating. You be that motion? Fine, I will entertain a motion to deny application ZBA 26-3.
I'll make the motion.
You plan to present a motion and read the motion.
Is the whole thing? I move to deny application ZBA 26-3 for 82 High Street to grant 21.2% ground coverage, where 15% is allowed for zoning regulation 26.11.14, as shown on the plans entitled Site Plan Prepared for Gilead Community Services Incorporated, 82 High Street, map 44, lot 26, lot 11, zone R20, by Indigo Land Design, dated 3/31/2026, and the lot and that collective finding of fact. One, the application has met public notice and hearing requirements pursuant to CGS chapter 124, section 8-7 Delta, notice and hearing requirements. Two, the applicant has not demonstrated a qualifying hardship pursuant to section 13.2 of the Clinton zoning regulations. Three, the property is currently developed and occupied. Denial of the application will not prevent the property being put to a reasonable use. Four, the applicant originally received zoning approval for 8.6% ground coverage, as shown on plans titled Site Plan Prepared for Gilead Community Services Incorporated, 82 High Street, map 44, lot 26 / lot 11, zone R20, by Indigo Land Design, dated August 29th, 2024, in quotation marks. This plan was reviewed and approved for zoning compliance under building permit B-24-376. Five, the applicant provided testimony on the record for application ZBA 26-3, confirming that additional paving had been conducted after the zoning approval had been granted for 8.6% ground coverage. Six, section 13.2.3 of the Clinton zoning regulations specifies that a hardship must not be created by the owner. The record for application ZBA 26-3 reflects that the additional paving which resulted in the property exceeding ground coverage requirements was authorized by the owner.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second to the motion to deny?
I'll second.
Okay, that's a Bruce. Before we take a vote, is there any further discussion on this application? Let me do a roll call vote, please. And again, vote yes to the direction.
Okay. Lori Jaffe,
Yes.
okay. Tom Schultz,
Yes.
Joseph Alves,
Yes.
Teresa O'Rourke,
Yes.
Bruce King,
Yes.
and Lori Jaffe.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to deny the variance carries. Next item, the agenda is ZBA 2024 432 Old Knott Road. Assessors map 20, block 6, block 57, zone R60, Robert and Brianna Gassi owners, Brianna Gassi account, Robert Gassi and Brianna Joe Gassi property owners, field 12/2026 CC Situate issued by the zoning enforcement officer for violations of the town of Clinton planning and zoning regulations sections 27.1, 27.1, 12.5, 3.3B, 12.53, 1.31. Continue the public hearing. This matter, ZBA 26-4, is withdrawn from the agenda, and I'm asking our zoning enforcement officer, Kathy Spone, if you'd like to elaborate.
Sure. So there was a technicality, their property is split zoned. So when I issued the order, I issued it on the residential side. It could have also been issued on the non-residential side. So I did reach out to the attorney for the property owner, Doug Dubitsky, and told him this. And so he emailed me on the 16th of June. And he said, given that there is no longer an order in effect, there is no longer any purpose for a public hearing appealing that order. We expect it will be pulled from the agenda of tomorrow's ZBA meeting. As such, the God season I will not attend. I will review the requirements of the zoning regulations with regard to a special exception application and will be in touch shortly. Thanks again, Doug.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next item, the agenda. ZBA 26-5, 3 West Road. At this point, I'll ask Tom Schultz, our secretary, to please read the legal notice of public hearing.
Legal notice of public hearing, Town of Clinton Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 17, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the Rose Room with William Stanton Andrews Memorial Town Hall, 54 East Main Street, Clinton, Connecticut, to consider the following. ZBA 26-5, 3 West Road, Assessors Map 69/block 66/lot 38, R10 zone, David Smalley, applicant, Paul O'Donnell, owner. After the fact variances to section 26.11.14 for ground coverage and section 26.11.8 for north side setback. At said hearing, all persons will have the right to be heard and written communication received. The applications and accompanying maps and correspondence are available for public inspection on the town's website, www.clintonct.org. Anyone requiring special accommodation in the public meeting should contact the land use office at 860-669-6133. Lori Jaffe, Chair, Town of Clinton ZBA. Email to the Harbor News to appear 2 times on Thursday, June 4th, 2026, and Thursday, June 11th, 2026.
Thank you, Tom. The steps that will take time to read briefly, the applicant will present. The board then can ask questions or make comments. Sure. But it's okay, just a couple seconds. And then the staff can make comments if they wish to do so. We'll ask if there are any members of the public who wish to make a comment, either in favor of, in opposition to, or just in general about the application. I'll ask if the applicant wants to respond to any of those comments. We'll ask if there's any additional information that the applicant wishes to put into the record. And then any other questions from the board, and then the board will make a decision if there's enough information to close the public hearing tonight, And then I will take it from there, and then if that happens, we can start to deliberate. So at this point, I'll ask the applicant, his presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate the time for my name's Paul O'Connell, the owner of the house. Give you a background, about 6 years ago. A previous zoning board had approved. Okay, I'm sorry, a previous zoning board had approved the house with a third story. And at the time FEMA, we started exceeding the FEMA rule of 50%, so we had to delay the third story and knock it off. And the ground coverage we're looking for right now is when I converted from an oil base, and part of my heat in the system in my house is electric and propane. So FEMA required, and my builder can kind of explain, FEMA required us to put a cement pad on the side of the house with big metal hold down things that you strap the propane tanks to. That's on the same side of the house. It was required, since we put all the electric in, that the new regulations require me to put the meters higher on the side of the house. Well, that required then, because I guess the electric company has another code that said they have to be able to get up there without a ladder to look at. So it required yet another pad. We had to pour and put stairs in to get up to the electric meter. So that's where the additional ground coverage came in. It's something that both of them required by code, that I had to put the cement pads in for the propane tanks and for the stairs to get up to the electric meter. The other variant, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure about the other variant, because it was something with,
I can help explain that, yeah.
I still don't understand. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Did you want to add anything at this point, or did you want to?
No, if you have any questions, I'm here. I appreciate it.
During the construction process today.
David Smalley.
David Smalley, during the construction process, between the codes, they said the propane tanks had to be on a concrete pad, so we had to pour that, which was fun. I had to mix it all by hand. But and then the stairs for the meter box. And then the first variance was approved to go all the way straight up, but the writing wasn't correct.
Yeah, I'll explain it.
Yeah, that's for the side setback, 5.5 versus the 7.
Right, which everybody had, for the original variance, had the prints,
Which was approved,
I think it
it was
was
something with the
right.
wording on it.
Not quite that word.
Yeah, I'm sure that. So I still don't understand. I'm here for any questions.
Did you have, at this point, did you have anything else you wanted to say? You'll have an opportunity later.
If you have any questions, we're here. Thank you.
All right.
Did you think it would be helpful for you to?
I do.
talk before we go around?
Yeah, I do. So this is a little bit complicated, but we can work, it's easy to work through. So I just want to address one thing. The property owner stated was the 50%. We do have a 50% rule. It's in our zoning regulations at 17.2.38 when you have a structure in a flood zone. So what that is there's a 5-year look back period, and you can only use 50% of the appraised value by the town's assessor card of the structure. So let's say, for example, there's a grandmother's cottage, it's worth $100,000, but the land is worth $250,000. You go by the structure value. So that's $50,000 you can use over a 5-year look back period. So the reason, like he said, that they waited is because after that 5 years, it just continuously rolls. So some people will, are concerned if they go over the 50%, they have to raise the structure per FEMA. So I just kind of wanted to explain that a little bit of the background. So what happened with this one, there were 2 sets of variances that were approved. One was approved in 2018, and it was ZBA 18023, and it was more than one variance. It was granted in December of 2018. One was for a side setback of 7 feet where 10 feet is required. And the other one was for maximum floor area of 65% where 40% is allowed. Then there were 3 variances granted in January of 2019. One was for front setback of 10 feet where 25 is required. The other was for maximum ground coverage of 32.4% where 20 is permitted. And then also there was expansion of a non-conforming structure to raise the existing roof to convert the attic to living space. So what happened is right now the variances they're requesting are 35.2% ground coverage where 32.4% was granted per variance ZBA 18029. And then a 5.5 foot north side setback where 10 feet is required per zoning regulation 2611.11.18. So those are the 2 variances they're asking for. So what happened was, and I did verify this with the building official just for my own knowledge, there is indeed, and I have these if you'd like to see them, I made copies for everyone. There is a requirement from FEMA that in the floodplain, the electrical equipment and the propane tank and everything, they do have to be anchored and elevated. So as the builder and the property owner stated, they had to pour concrete pads and they had to anchor both those things, elevate and anchor the propane tank. So that is where they did go over coverage, but those were requirements. So I do have that if you would like to see that. And then regarding the setback, what was a little confusing, and we did some research going back through the minutes at that time, and unfortunately the record wasn't really very clear. But it appears what happened was the property owner at that time had requested in his application a 5.5 variance for the north side setback. And what happened was the board was silent about it. They only mentioned the 7, but they did approve the application as submitted, and the 5.5 feet was part of the submission. So when I spoke with both David Smalley and Mr. O'Donnell, the owner, I think there was some confusion as to what they already had been approved for, and because they were under the belief that they had the 5.5 feet. But when it came into me, I looked at the variances against the applications, it didn't match. So that's why it's coming to you. So I made copies, let's see, of if you're interested in this is the information about the raising and everything for FEMA and electric for Eversource to meet their requirements. And the plans, I don't know if everyone got a chance to look in the record, but it does show what the variances are that were granted and why, thank you, why it's a little bit off. The application does say 5.5 feet. And again, the minutes were a little bit murky from back then.
Oh, she's
She's a regular member,
a regular member.
so she can, I don't know if you want to unseat.
Well, for this, but she wasn't, isn't she seated, she wasn't present at the meeting room?
No, this is the first time they're being heard, so she can be seated. Well, I suppose it wouldn't be a bad idea to mention in the minutes because we had seated Bruce so that we
Okay,
can,
so that she was here as a member,
Yeah.
she would be seated going forward.
we can just state that as a regular member, Carol is seated now and
Yeah,
Bruce
no,
is going to be
Regular
unseated.
member, who's seated. All right, thank you for pointing that out. So that would- At this point, I will ask if other members of the public that would like to.
But I do want to make a clarification that 5.5 foot setback.
You want-
Oh,
Come on.
I'm sorry. Just a clarification, my apology. That 5.5 foot setback, we're not changing the structural. We're going straight up. We're not increasing anything. We're just not changing the footprint at all of the house. Just want to make sure.
Well, it's going up a third, but
Yeah, it's still-
it's not going out, right? They're keeping the plane. But the thing is, typically that would require variance for volumetric expansion, but because of the fact that it was presented when the other variances were granted as part of the application.
I know.
Do any of the board members, want to ask any questions or make any comments at this point?
I'm still trying to understand.
It is a little confusing, I know.
I am too.
So, if I understand correctly, then they were granted the variance one time, and they're just going straight out, so it's not really changing anything, so.
It's just that they had asked for the 7-foot setback on one side, the 5.5 on the
Right.
other, but when the board voted, they didn't mention the 5.5 at all. It wasn't denied or approved, it just was, they were silent.
Okay.
So when we look back to try to find in the record, there was no mention of it.
So, so how much in violation then with that oversight?
Well, it would just be that the 5.5 foot north side setback is what they're requesting, where 10 is required. And they already have a setback on the other side where they've got variance there. But as I said, for some strange reason, it was on the original application, 5.5 feet proposed, and it was just never mentioned. Motion.
Yeah, I usually go last, but I had given some thought to this, so I thought that I would just give you some of my thoughts, if that's okay.
That'd be great.
This is, the previous matter on the agenda tonight. We talked about, different tests for hardship. This, to me, this is a different situation than a traditional hardship application that we usually have called upon to rule on. There's not a statement of a traditional hardship in this application. There's something unique about the one there and something in that situation. And it's not an alternative test for hardship, reduction in non-conformities. So it seems to me that one of the questions is, what was the intention of the board in 2019? None of us was on board in late 2018, early 2019. None of us was on the board, and I did glance at the minutes of those meetings, not in great detail, but there was really very little discussed. Which, as an aside, it's a good idea that we, more fully discuss things at this point, which is a good thing. So it's hard to tell what the intent was of the board. It seems clear that the applicant then had asked for 5.5 feet. I believe that's the case, and the variance was approved. And I think it seems that the applicant now is claiming that in the previous application, the board approved everything, but didn't include in the paperwork that the 5.5 foot north side setback was expressly approved. If I have that correct. And that setback had been asked for in the previous application. And as stated in on this staff report, it's possible that the board may have asked. It's possible that the board may have intended that third story addition continue up, continue that 5.5 foot encroachment, but we just don't know. And to me, the ambiguity makes this a somewhat difficult case, but my sense is that I would resolve in the favor of the applicant based on several of the documents in the file, especially this one. I believe that it's a handwritten note, but basically that they approved everything, but they did not include in the paperwork 5.5 existing on the north face, and he had asked for 5.5 on the addition in the previous application. And I guess I had one question. At what point did you realize that there might have been an issue with the setback issues?
The only time I had a question is when we applied and Kathy brought to our attention that was not in the minutes from the previous approval. That's when I got a little confused and I didn't understand exactly, but then she kind of said they kind of left it out. Even though they gave me approval to put the third story on, somehow it was not written in the minutes, that's.
Thank you. Jerry, do you have any comments?
That's confusing for sure. The other part of it, for being of, requirements are exempt from the hardship rule was done. Case called the Dobson case. How about that?
You certainly did.
So the FEMA ones that they're talking about, we can allow based on the requirement of FEMA. But the 5.5 feet, I kind of concur with Lori that seems like we're just trying to dot the I, cross the T for the prior decision.
Joe, did you have any comments?
Or
questions?
I agree with you two as well. I would, the variance to 5.5, 5 feet is, there's some confusion about that. Government would have the responsibility of really defining that more clearly for the applicant. I think they failed to do that. So I would agree, I would support the variance.
I support variance, I believe it's. Getting in conversations and bills that were taken. Appears to be. Secretarial error than anything else. Did you have any other comments in response to what the board has said, or do you have any other additional information that you would want to add to the record at this point?
I concur with what everybody said. So thank you.
Well, we're still in the. Did you have any additional documents that you wish to have included in the record other than what's already been filed?
Yeah. Yeah,
I think we
submitted everything.
submitted every document.
So you believe that the record is complete as submitted?
I do, yes.
I think at this point, I think the board can decide, if we have enough information to close the public hearing. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Through our discussion, I approve the whole thing.
At this point, do you have enough information to
Yes,
close the public
yes.
hearing?
Yes,
I agree.
And I also believe that there was enough information to close the public hearing. Did the staff have any other comments? I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing in CBA 2695.
I'll make that motion.
It's Joe. Is there a second? Yes, Carol. Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstain? All right, the motion carries and the public hearing is closed. And now we will move on to deliberation. And the board has 65 days from today to close the public hearing to make a decision. And basically, this is a request for 2 variances. 35.2% ground coverage, where 32.4% was granted in 28-18-029. And for a 5.5 foot north side setback, with 10 days required for zoning regulation 26.11.8. And although we did discuss this briefly, just remember it was briefly summarized. Now, at this point in our deliberations, why they believe variances should or should not be granted.
It seems best we that this really was approved for these variances, and I think I think it's the right thing to do in this case. For this variance.
Terry, do you have any comments?
I agree.
Whether the variances should be approved? Your question, please.
Again?
Do you have any comments or thoughts about why? Why the variance should or shouldn't be there? Really creative. Anything other than what you said previously?
I don't have anything other than what I said previously. I think it should be granted.
I have no comments. And I have nothing to add other than, the question here is what was the intention of the board, and since the decision lacked clarity, it seemed that the applicants now had submitted for the side setback, the 5.5 foot previously, and the variance was granted even though it wasn't explicitly stated. And I think that the board might have intended, previous board might have intended that the 5.5 foot encroachment continue up to the third story. And I think the ambiguity should be resolved in favor of the applicant, and so I would vote yes to grant this application. So our staff has circulated a draft motion. People want to take a moment to read this draft motion to approve. That motion, I will entertain a motion to approve application CBA 26-5. And that's Joe. Will you copy of it? Will you use it to post the draft motion?
Draft motion. I think you remember. I think you have to read here. CBA, draft motion for CBA 26-5, the 3 West Road. I move to approve application CBA 26-5 for 5 West Road. For 3 West Road. Accessory map 69 / block 66, lot 38, zone R10. David Smalley applicant, Paul O'Donnell. For requested after the fact variances to section 26.11.4 to permit 35.2% ground coverage where 32.4% was previously granted on the variance CBA-18-029 and section 26.11.8 a 5.5 foot north side setback where 7 feet was granted on the variance CBA-18-023 as shown on the plans entitled quotation mark zoning location survey prepared for 3 West Road, Connecticut, 69/66, lot 38, zone R10, by Jessic and Associates, dated October 27th, 2018, revised through February 18th, 2006. Quotation marks, and adopted collective findings of fact. 1. The application has been public notice and hearing requirements pursuant to CGS Chapter 124, Section 8-7 Delta, notice and hearing requirements. The increase in impervious ground coverage associated with the propane tank was required to bring the installation into compliance with FEMA regulations, and the increase for the electric meter was necessary to comply with Eversource regulations. 3. The increase in impervious ground coverage will not cause stormwater runoff to be directed to any adjacent property or right of way. 4. In reviewing approved variance ZBA-18-023, The approval was for the proposed variances. The proposed application included the 5.5-foot north side setback. The board recognizes that the published decision at the time failed to include the reference to a 5.5-foot setback. This approval is consistent with the board's previous review.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll make a second.
That's Terry. Any further discussion before we vote? Could we do a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Tom Schultz,
Yes.
Joseph Alves,
Yes to approve.
Teresa O'Rourke,
Yes.
Carol Walter, Lori Jaffe.
Yes. Approved, and, the variance carries.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Can I just share one thing real fast with you? Now that it's approved, I appreciate it. I gave this car, and you can keep this. I don't know if you feel that. I got this email. It looks like a legit email. Look at this invoice. You guys seen this before?
Yeah, we've been
Yeah,
getting.
The national, there's a national scam that is going around.
$180. Yeah, it's yours. I just wanted to show you.
You see, have you shown this?
I've sent
We
in
all-
the car.
Yeah.
Barry,
Yeah.
and Kathy, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, we've been,
There's actually an FBI reporting site for this, and then all towns across the state and the country are dealing with it.
Did you know after my other last meeting, I got another invoice with a different amount that I sent the car to?
Yeah, I forwarded on to the police.
Yeah.
You'll see.
it looks,
so
it looks legitimate, but
I mean-
it itemizes these outrageous amounts of bills.
Essentially, it's a false bill purported to be the town.
And there are thousands of dollars.
He was in India and asked me to.
No.
Luckily, thank God, I was traveling, I was in Scotland. And I called Dave, I said, Dave, I'm traveling, I want to do electronic surface when I'm traveling, get rid of letters about that. Thank God, I said, oh, I'll come pay. I went to ask Kara, I said, Kara, I got my check, she goes, oh, that's a scam. But anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the meeting, but I just want to share.
There's just for the board's awareness, so the two things that we do, well, three things. We're notifying applicants at the time of applications to be very, very wary. The only fees that we take come through our permitting system and should be paid directly through that system or directly in the office, right? So you catch all those. The other piece, and there's some announcements on the website about it too. We do report every single one to the police department, and there's also an FBI reporting page that folks can go ahead and add these to the list. We're not the only town, we're not the only state. They're getting more and more robust in their ability, and some of that comes from. Some of it is online permitting. But there are folks who do not use the same permitting system that we do, who don't use any permitting system, and they're going off the agendas. And so just posted public information is being taken.
I hate to say it, if I was not traveling, I would have been scammed out of $39 because it looks so legit. And take my word for it. I mean, it's lovely. But anyway, I want to thank the board for the time. Thank you very much.
We'll get that in the back. Correspondence is next on the agenda. I have none.
No, I haven't.
Correspondence, and we'll add something before we, yes, here's a.
Just, can we have a little conversation about the training?
Sure.
I wanted to ensure that I did go into, UConn's land use training site. And there is a 2-hour class led by this attorney, just strictly for the zoning board of appeals group. And it was very relevant to the things that we talked about today, in terms of what the board is authorized to approve, especially with some of the cases we dealt with. It's a very worthwhile class, so if you have access to the University of Connecticut land use training site, if you look at past trainings, this is from 2024, but it's still relevant.
Why don't we go ahead and send that link around, so we'll get that link around to the whole board, so, they, your folks find, and if you do take it, please report back to Kara, so we have,
Because we need to maintain we have a table we're keeping for the mandated training to make sure everyone gets their 4 hours. So if you take a training, we just need to know what it is, the date, that you completed it. Sometimes you get a certificate, sometimes you don't. It's okay.
So, and the other thing that helps, this is an all-day training and you take
Yeah.
the Bar Association offers. But again, there was a whole section on the zoning board of appeals powers and duties. Just that section alone makes it work. Because it actually lists site cases, and the attorney in this presentation tells us how to look at some of the decisions that we should want to look at. So more of the explanation from the judges and their decisions. I know it doesn't sound like a lot of fun, it certainly is not, but it was very helpful for me to rest a little easy about some of the decisions that would be.
So the Connecticut Bar Association runs their training every other year, usually in March, and it's all day and it's run by attorneys, and they do, everything from soup to nuts, inland wetlands, planning and zoning, board of appeals, enforcement training. They do everything, but now it's online because they used to do it in person, but they found in person, I think the capacity was 250, and now it's online. They had 750. So people can log in for just that portion that they want to train on. So for example, in the past, if you went in person and they had something on ZBA at 10 in the morning and then at 2, you'd have to stay. Now you can just log in for that one piece. And
I think it includes an hour on affordable housing. So this takes care of your annual training.
And just keep in mind, there's a ton of free resources out there. We do budget for every member to have in that $55 range. And I did open the budget because I may have left it to 65 for next year. So there is money available if you find something that you're like, this is really compelling. I want to continue my training in this particular area, or if there's a conference coming up or something, please reach out because we do have some funds for you. So, and then to that on training as well, the town attorney, Jennifer Cola, has offered to come to the July meeting and do a specific training for this board based on her knowledge of kind of what's been on your plate and all that kind of stuff, and do some additional sort of in-depth stuff for you as well.
We get credit for that.
Yeah, we could.
I have one more question. Does the zoning enforcement officer have authority to approve some of these items without the board?
So
like the de minimis? I can only say it once, correct?
The thing is, for the zoning enforcement officer, I can approve whatever is in compliance with zoning. So if it meets the regulations, I can approve it. But once it steps out of that, then I no longer have the authority. So the only time I can approve a de minimis change is wetlands sometimes has it written to their regs. If there's something they're doing with wetlands that's considered de minimis, like after they come to the commission, say they want to move something slightly, they can ask me to approve. But other than that, it leaves my hands at that point and it trips right to the ZBA.
And most CEOs are restricted in such a way.
We just don't have the authority. If it's no longer zoning compliant, I no longer have the authority to approve it.
If a variance was granted for something, but because we reference the plans, if the plans are modified, Kathy can't, even if the ground coverage would stay the same with that same percentage, if it was done according to a specific plan, and now they want to have something on the other side of the property, that makes it a little bit harder. So it really is, it's very much tied to what is before you and what the regulations allow.
Now, can I read this with you guys and then get it back if you want to make a copy and send it out to the.
Terry, thanks for sharing all that information. Really, that's terrific. Thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention. We try to keep everybody updated with things as well, but it's so great to hear from a board member who's actually taken the training that they've got something out of it. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other ones to take, but this one was right. I thought students had a lot of questions. And you could walk away from putting on thoughts, academic state, that's the benefit of doing that. But, and I like printed stuff. Yeah, okay. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Anything else? We'll leave there. Concerns? I will entertain a motion for you. Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
All right.
And just so you guys know, at this point, I have no new applications. So we'll see what happens, but nobody's come to me with a variance request, so. I know you guys got deluged for a while. I just want to let you know.